Yeah, come back in. Oh, Bob's having that problem again. Hey, what's up, everybody? We're just waiting for Bob to come in. There you go. I'm just waiting for Bob to come in. Think that's good.
You know what? So right now I'm getting a message that says you're not online. The host is not online. Please wait for host or come back later.
Yeah, my screen say that too, but
I'm wondering, AJ, if you're still signed in from the other day.
No, I'm not.
Let me see. Y'all see me now?
Nah.
I see you. I'm watching it on my phone. I see you, but I don't see you on my screen. I see what the people are seeing on Facebook. We all on the screen.
Well, Bob just disappeared.
But on our personal screen that we're on, you just disappeared.
I have no clue.
Now it's just me and Bob on the screen. Now you're back.
Yeah, Bob's gone. It's a delay on the thing. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? It says Robert Basketball is ready to join.
Hector Santiago said, "Good evening, gentlemen. What's going on?" John Carlo is watching.
What's up? What's up, everybody? So, I'm going to try to work this out. I'm going to try to work it out. But what's up, everybody?
Councilwoman Delia Farquharson is tuned in.
Hello, everybody.
How are you today?
So, hey, what's up, Delia? How you doing? I think, I reached out to I reached out to Bob and AJ because we really wanted to address some of the things that District Attorney Anthony Scarpino said yesterday.
Sunday.
Huh? Was the day before
Sunday.
Yeah, so I'm and I wanted to also, because the conversation got heated, and which with good reason, between Dr. Bob and Anthony, the DA, about Joseph Spezio. And you know, I actually think it was
My name is Damon Jones.
I actually think it was for good reason, because of the fact that so much has gone on in the city of Mount Vernon, and so many different people have went to the district attorney's office looking for some type of assistance in dealing with the type of nonsense that was going on within the police department, from upper management with the commissioners and the actual harassment of who's that? Is that me?
I don't know.
Well, I hear some feedback. Well,
yeah, no, I hear it too. But...
So, and I think
My name is Damon Jones.
I think, Bob, you said it best when you said that when you said that he portrayed the people of Mount Vernon. I'm trying to find right now just a quick what Andre was speaking on, and to the fact that nothing happened, and the fact that nothing happened when Councilman Wallace was assaulted,
right?
And you made a good point. He was the mayor's brother. The mayor's brother controls the police department because the commissioners work at the will of the mayor. And if anybody with common sense and the atmosphere that was going on then knew that nothing was going to happen to anybody that was connected to the mayor through the police department, because of the fact that Joe Spezio ran the police department. And it's also it is also ridiculous for him to say that it wasn't enough evidence to do anything when there was actual testimony from former police commissioner Robert Kelly of the legal activities that was going on with Joe Spezio and the police department.
Well, the illegitimacy of his position altogether too.
Well, not just that. Well, it was other things. If you read the document submitted to the federal court by Robert Kelly, he gives a lot of other questionable actions, unethical and possibly criminal actions that was going on within not just the police department, but City Hall, and to the fact that Anthony Scarpino chose, like, what, he said something that was real crazy. Depends on who's bringing the information. Does that matter? So do they pick and choose justice on who's bringing the information? Because you know what? Honestly, I think that's I take that personal. I take that personal because we know we all went up there and we met with Anthony Scarpino's office on on many issues. So they're just going to gap us off because maybe someone in the office don't like me because I've been questioning the integrity of the integrity unit, not just dealing with Joe Spezio, but all the way back to the Irma Marquez. When Irma Marquez got body slammed, these are the same people working in the department. Nobody has moved.
Right.
Let's not
Except for Robert Kennedy.
let's be serious. Nobody is moved, and they chose not to do anything. And I will post soon all the information that was brought to the DA's office. Not only that, the fact of the matter is, even former mayoral candidate, former police commissioner, former correction commissioner, which it was alleged, brought information himself. And he said in the campaign trail that he spoke to Scarpino about what was going on in the police department. Nothing happened. So what else do you need? So what else does the office need? They chose not to do anything because it was Joe Spezio. And the fact of the matter is, Joe Spezio's son-in-law just got fired from the Department of Corrections for allegedly bringing cell phones into a federal inmate, and still no charges. Just last month, still no charges. Because who's they connected to? So we gotta ask a question: do we get away with criminal activities if we have a vowel at the end of our goddamn name? I or you? Or do we have to be Italian to get away with shit?
Right. I mean, I'm after our conversation on Sunday had concluded, one of the things that occurred to me, a question that occurred to me that we could have readily posed to District Attorney Scarpino. Is it possible, District Attorney Scarpino, that someone could strike you?
Exactly.
A political rival, the brother of your political rival, could strike you during the height of a campaign season, and that person would not at least be detained so that appropriate authorities could determine who was at fault and what's the appropriate course of action. It's inconceivable. It's inconceivable that someone could strike the mayor, for example. It would have been inconceivable if Andre's brother would have gotten into a fight with the mayor, that Andre's brother wouldn't have been detained. So this to me seems very much at odds, especially because this is an elected official. It's just not an ordinary assault. It has deeper ramifications that extend beyond the two parties themselves and calls into question the integrity of local democracy. Because essentially, this is, and this is also what I thought about, the failure of the district attorney's office to take any kind of action whatsoever sent a clear message to all the other parties who had witnessed, who were aware of, the fisticuffs between Andre and Butch Thomas, that something similar could happen to them. And if Andre is not eligible for protection under the law, despite the fact that he's an elected official, then that means that all of us would be even less likely. I mean, in some cases, I know, D, I could hear you saying, I'll smack the shit out of someone. Right, but we shouldn't have to resolve. It shouldn't have happened in the first place. And one shouldn't have to resolve these kind of physical threats by ramping up the hostility and striking back in kind.
Exactly.
The police is in a way to de-escalate a situation.
Exactly.
I found it astounding. I'm still puzzled by the district attorney's attempt to rationalize the inaction of his office.
Well, I mean, there was a lot of inconsistencies. There was a few things. I brought up the bad cop list. He said and I brought up the fact that his investigator was on there, and he said on the lines that shows that his list was transparent. No, we called out that his investigator was on the list and asked why he didn't bring the list. Was it because his investigator was on there? Secondly, he said that he was ahead of the curve on the bail reform, and had already started enacting some of that up to 6 months to a year before the bail reform. And I asked him specifically if that was the case, why did we only see a significant decrease of inmates after the bail reform got into place? And his only answer is, well, I don't know what you call significant. And there's a
Significant would be
video,
measurable, at least a
right,
few
right.
percentage points. That's what
Especially if you, the district attorney is his office is the one that puts the people in there. So if he was already enacting those measures, there would have been an increase of the inmates that were going in at that time. And he hasn't shown me that. Also, there was a lot of inconsistencies and there was a video, and I have to get my hands on that video that, I know Damon and I have seen it. They were all sitting at the table. I think it was the county legislator, the county exec, a couple of legislators, and like 3 people that they brought in to speak to them about whether what their suggestions on whether they should go with this bail reform thing or not. This is before, and he was against it because we definitely made a point to mention that he was against it, and he said he was never against it. He was actually 6 months to a year ahead of the curve. So I need to find that video this week.
Okay.
It just it's just convenient amnesia on some things. He also said he has 3 cases that he's prosecuting from Mount Vernon, but he only indicted that one officer the night before the Democratic convention was going to select their nominee. And even as the incumbent, his opponent, he barely won that nomination. She almost came through with that, even though he was the incumbent. So, and he got some press 24 hours earlier because he indicted an officer finally. When we talked about the cases that he didn't prosecute, he started running off all these numbers of people he prosecuted, and I gave him at least 10 cases in Mount Vernon that he didn't, but he wouldn't say how much of those people were from Mount Vernon, and he wouldn't say what those cases were. He just started rattling off numbers.
Well, first of all, he only got, as far as we know, he went after the officer the sergeant in Mount Vernon for, you go after a black officer for whatever reason, but you don't punish the white officer who brings in food and cell phones and FaceTime other people, correction officer, FaceTime with federal inmates.
Was he that the ghost selfie thing was under him too, right?
No.
That was before him?
But a warden got suspended for that. And then that was it. But nobody did anything with that neither. I'm not sure if he was under that. I don't think so. But regardless of
that was within the past 2 to 3 years.
I don't. Well, hey, listen.
I thought it was under him, but it's neither here nor there. Continue.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you have something recent, and something egregious, where you actually a federal inmate that an officer brought in. This is ridiculous. And if it was a black officer, his face would have been painted all over Westchester County, like he's fighting corruption. And let's not forget Nas Duncan and Joe Spezio interfering in her son's murder investigation, and bringing a known former federal inmate involved in the investigation. This, I don't know about anybody else, but how much more disrespect is one person going to give a city, and then he wants to claim he's from the city? That's BS, man. I mean, we're talking about people's lives being affected. We're talking about elected officials being threatened. We're talking about police reports being changed. Let's not forget the hit and run of Spezio's garbage truck
at the laundromat parking lot. Yeah,
the laundromat parking lot, and the police report was changed under Spezio's alleged.
Well. I talked to the person whose car was. His car wasn't. The police report wasn't even taken in the beginning. Once he gave up the license plate, and they looked it up and they found out it was one of Spezio's truck. Wouldn't even take his report in the beginning. That's why he called Councilman Andre Wallace, and then called me, because they wouldn't even take his report because it was Spezio's truck.
Well, absolutely. And see, and these are the things, then they want to send guys down to the cupcake shop like they doing something and questioning. They had no goddamn intentions on doing shit. And the reality is that, and not to mention the other fact of the matter is that Spezio perjured himself and Councilwoman Ferguson, if you're listening, Spezio perjured himself in the residency case because in the court records, he said that he was a Westchester resident. We all know that he was a Florida resident. He didn't even have a New York State ID. And this was before, let's not forget, this case was before he got arrested.
In New Rochelle.
In New Rochelle. This case was before he got arrested, where he presented documents, fake testimony that his primary residence was in New York, because if it wasn't, he was violating the penal code. Nobody followed up on that.
Let me add for our listeners that we were able to ascertain this because we submitted a FOIL request to the state of Florida's Department of Motor Vehicle. And they in turn sent us back paperwork that Joe Spezio had filed asking for the issuance of a Florida license. You have to surrender. You cannot hold licenses in two states. He had to surrender his New York State license before he was issued a Florida license. And at the very least, we were able to confirm that. Not to mention other documentation that substantiated his Florida residence.
And that was given, and let me tell you something, that was given to Scarpino. All that information was given to Scarpino. The minutes from the court case was given to Scarpino, and that he actually perjured himself in court. And they did nothing. You have alleged police commissioner, alleged federal informant, right? According to Greenburgh Police Department, a retired detective from Greenburgh Police Department, you had an alleged federal informant, according to Greenburgh Police Department, running a police department, and then lying on documents. Like this is so egregious to the Black community that it's on all levels, all the way up to the federal level. And maybe if Snyderman was still in office, it would have been a different story on how the AG's office handled this whole thing.
Because even Snyderman called it out and said a campaign donor given a high position having any form of law enforcement experience.
Exactly. And it's a shame that people have to go to a higher authority, a state authority, when they're local district attorney. Now, I want to get back to this BS he's talking about. There's no conflict of interest. when it comes to the district attorney's office investigating local police departments. Westchester County, I want everybody to listen up. Westchester County's investigators.
I'll be right back there. Keep going.
Westchester County's investigators come from the local police departments. They come from the local police departments. The chief of the investigators, right, is a former chief of Greenburgh Police Department. He's a member. He's probably still a member of the Chiefs Association. So how do we expect, right? How do we expect them to investigate their own when they come from the police departments that they're going to investigate? It's just not going to happen. And this is why we don't see anything. See, but black people always fall for the okie doke all the time, and they don't understand the process. And then when you explain the process, they still don't hold elected officials' feet to the fire. The whole process is flawed. And if you're not going to get elected official in there, in the district attorney's office, that's going to change this process, your black people are going to get their heads bashed by police all the time, and nothing's going to happen. They're going to get called nigger like Kenneth Chamberlain Sr. in White Plains, and not one cop go to jail.
Right.
When the hell are we going to wake up? When are we going to wake up?
Those charges are supposed to be taken seriously, and they are supposed to be properly investigated. I want to add, D, back to your point about conflict of interest, in case it was not clear during my exchange with District Attorney Scarpino. The way that the legal system in the United States operates, even if a investigator doesn't come from on the district attorney's office, isn't selected from a police department that ultimately falls under their purview, there is a conflict of interest because the district attorney office relies on the investigative work and evidence that police officers have uncovered, and they are hesitant to peeve either individual officers who they may depend on by prosecuting them, or even raising questions about their behavior, and more generally may find themselves at odds with the department as a whole if they are seen as being too eager to look into the performance and actions of individual members of the police force. This was especially the case because the local district attorneys will often serve in an office for years on end. And I know that one way of breaking the possible conflict of interest, doesn't mean it always happens, but one way of breaking the possible conflict of interest was regular rotation of district attorney's from one municipality to the next. So, I mean, I don't know why District Attorney Scarpino wasn't at least a little bit more forthright about potential conflicts of interest that can emerge between the district attorneys, local district attorneys, and the police officers and departments that they depend on. And that may help explain why they were a little slow-footed.
Well, they expect people not to know, and people do not. Unfortunately, people do not pay attention, and unless it affects you personally, you really don't care, until it affects someone that that's close to you within your life circle, or your own family member, and then they see that what we've been talking about all along, and that's really an unfortunate thing. Black people have to learn the political process in the criminal justice system.
I want to just add this, brother, because this is a glaring example. It's inconceivable that any resident of the city of Mount Vernon, whether they be just a regular Jay Blow citizen or an actual member of one of the municipal services, could impersonate a police officer by donning a uniform or a badge and going and essentially accosting someone in their house. Let us remember a member of the Mount Vernon Fire Department who happens to be white, and him being white is important, I'm sorry to say, was detained by the New Rochelle Police Department after a New Rochelle resident filed a complaint against this Mount Vernon fireman because he showed up to their door with a badge on and maybe in a bulletproof vest, right, D? Apparently, yes. what appeared to be a bulletproof vest emblazoned with MVPD on it, clearly impersonating an officer. This guy is still on the... What happened to him? They were getting ready to throw Lamar's ass off of... Threatening to throw Lamar, who is a seasoned officer, not just a rank and file firefighter, but was a lieutenant at the time. They were threatening to throw him off of the force because of untoward remarks that he made on Facebook, which, I understood they were troubling, but that pales in comparison to a guy putting on a cop uniform when he's a firefighter and going into an adjoining city and attempting to coerce a citizen into, giving him stuff.
Let me make this clear, man. This is not just Mount Vernon. This is the black psyche everywhere. We are still as a whole. I was listening to Dr. Amos Wilson, and we are still as a whole, no town in particular, still slave minded when in our leadership, that we still allow the complexion for the protection. They still do whatever they want to do. While if we do the same thing, we will be taken under the bus. So, I really think as a whole, and you've been talking, and Bob, we've been talking in our paper, and maybe this is why many black politicians don't like me, and I don't care. We have to do better. We really have to do better, because we do a disservice to our own community, because they expect better from us, but we give them the same thing that white politicians do to our own community, which we shouldn't. And this is not any particular community. This is all communities, because if you travel, or when we was able to travel, and you go to other black communities dealing with police departments, dealing with accountability, which I have, it's the same stories. It's the same stories in Newark. It's the same stories in Buffalo. It's the same stories in other majority black communities when dealing with police departments and their district attorney's office. We sit around and think we're in a vacuum, but hell, this is going on everywhere. Brother Anthony Old School Mitchell said black political leadership is the part that's failing the black community. Then he said, I'm trying to hit. Oh, then he says they have the get over it and can't we all just get along attitude.
Right.
Yeah, brother. Yes, they do. Now, getting back to Scarpino, when he was mentioning the population of the jail was actually going down. The population of the jail was going down on its own. And Westchester County Jail. When I started, there was almost 3,000 inmates in there, and now is if we have 600, we're doing good. So the population, I mean, even if you look at the stats, Bob, crime was down. Overall crime was down, and the jails in New York, especially the county jails, throughout the state, the numbers are dropping. For whatever reason, right? For whatever reason, the numbers are actually were dropping, and the added bail reform has taken the numbers even lower, where a lot of county jails in New York State are looking to house federal inmates because of the fact that because of the bail reform and people are not coming to jail. Is that a good thing? Absolutely. Is that a harder thing? Bail reform and discovery. Is that good for the people? I think absolutely. That and I always said that it was a Ponzi scheme, because this is what happens. You get a young person, he commits a minor crime, or allegedly commits the crime, because there's no, at that time there wasn't no discovery, so you didn't know what the hell the district attorneys, what evidence that they had. So they sit him in jail. He ain't got no money, right? Cats are sitting in jail for $100 bail, $150 bail. Nobody's giving it to them. They ain't really had no loved ones to look for them. So they sitting there for 6-7 months, right? They finally go to court after sitting in the county jail for 6-7 months, and there's no discovery. He got a court-appointed attorney. Court-appointed attorney got like 600 cases. So the court-appointed attorney is saying, take the deal, work out a deal. They say, you know what? Time served. Now, they could not had any evidence on this dude or female. Not one piece of evidence. But guess what they're going to do? Go home. They're going to take the plea. So it was a Ponzi scheme. So the bail reform has helped out those who might have been railroaded. And we know racism plays a role in policing the Black community. We know how some officers target the same person because they know it's a quick arrest.
Right.
My man Fab had over 400 misdemeanor arrests. like really? And then he says to me in the courtyard, well, they got me in this program, teach me how to do interviews. Who's hiring me when I got over 300 misdemeanor arrests of stealing? So and I laugh about it because he makes more sense than the program. He's like, like what the hell? So I think we have to add something to that bail reform, and what is needed is that we need to get these same young people, men and women, job training. I always said it's cheaper to send a young person to Westchester Community College than it is to jail.
Right.
And it is cheaper. And not one judge or elected official has yet put that together. So send these kids to school. And then if they don't want to go to school after a couple of tries, then you got to do what you got to do. But the first option for any young person under 21 is to get them an education or send them in the military. There was one guy the other day. He was like, man, after this, I'm going straight to the Army. I was like, good.
Well, I first enrolled at Bronx Community College after a stint on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the catalyst that helped me to start getting things together. And I'm glad that this was right before reforms were instituted that disqualify persons who have been convicted of felony drug possession charges from receiving financial aid.
Right.
I was actually fortunate because I made it in just before those kind of draconian reforms were made. But I mentioned myself because I'm an example of the potential of so many young people who may have made some poor decisions because of either immense pressure or just sort of misguided values. And thankfully, though, it wasn't a permanent bar against me making an effort to reform and change my life. And so, I am one of many such examples.
No,
I think you kind of he didn't know how to respond to you when you said as a city court judge he sentenced you, and now you're a doctor and you're a PhD. Now, like I don't think he knew how to handle that. He didn't really know how to. What was he gonna say to you? Like he didn't know how to address that.
Right, and
I must have missed that one. I must have missed that part. I gotta watch it.
Yeah, Bob said that, he said he's talked about his past, and I think he said he went through Scarpino's court and Scarpino convicted him. And then he said, and that was before his PhD. And then he was arguing the facts on an educated level with him. And I think that kind of took him for a loop for a minute. Like he didn't really, who expects that?
Well, it's probably a little unusual, I would imagine.
So Bob
not exactly.
Bob put down the PhD and brought out the PhD on him.
Right.
I mean, this goes to show that we have to, the Black community, and I say the Black community because we're Black Westchester, right? And I represent my Blackness, before I represent anything else. And just because I am pro-Black does not mean by any means I'm anti anybody else. And I think I could walk together side by side with any race. But if you try to put me behind you, we're going to have a problem. But I think Black people must start thinking about their interests. We are the only ones that use our Blackness to advance. And then once we get to that position, we see no color. I think that's a disservice to the struggle. That is disservice to those that have fought for our freedom in this country to do anything to deny our Blackness. And we have to begin to use our Blackness. And what is the interest? What are we looking for our communities? And we have to start doing report cards on elected officials, Black and white, but especially Black elected officials throughout Westchester County, New York State, throughout the country, because many of them are familiar with the struggle of being black in America. And if they're not familiar with the struggle of being black in America, they have lived in a bubble all their lives. So, I really think, after that conversation with Anthony Scarpino, and to think that he's, with everything that went on Facebook, in the press, in the media, everything that went on, that he's just going to skate and not address none of this criminality, because this will not go on. Listen, you will never in the history of this planet see a black man go in any white community in Westchester County and do what Joe Spezio did.
What the fuck Joe did? That shit is fucking unthinkable, D. Like, we gotta be fucking dodos to believe some shit like that.
Yo, but even what you just said, to think that he could just skate into another term, let's keep it real. Take Black Westchester and take blacks in law enforcement out of the equation. He does skate to a second term.
Who?
Right.
Scarpino.
Certainly.
You said for him to think that he could skate to a second term. Take us out of the equation, and the only people that are really pushing back right now and speaking up in the normal situation in the black community, they're going to vote for him because he's the Democratic nominee, and he skates to a second term without a doubt.
Here's
without all pushback, without the pushback that we've been doing.
Here's the sad part about it. There are black people that are just going to go to the voting booth, and as they usually do, vote all the way.
They're going to make songs about it and everything while they're doing it.
Yeah, all that BS. And they're going to just click, circle, 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 without knowing who that person is, without understanding who that person is, without even caring. Right? We don't connect the suffering of black people in White Plains to the black people in Mount Vernon, to the black people in Yonkers, to the black people in Austin, to the black people in Peekskill, right? And you know how I know? Because and I'm saying it because that sister that was sexually abused by that white cop, not one damn organization has said nothing. Has said nothing. And when I put out that video weeks ago, and I wanted to see who was going to say anything, crickets. How do we stay silent when a white cop uses his powers to sexually abuse a mentally ill black woman
in her home?
In her home, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And there's no outrage. Where's the Masons at? Where's all the men groups? See, sometimes
the scholarship award dinners, brother.
Exactly. Sometimes I get tired of being the only one saying something.
That's why people can do this. That's why people can do this to our community, because of the lack of strong black men standing up, saying, not in my community. It's the way it used to be. That's why these things go on. Because I'm going to tell you, if that was another neighborhood and another time, that would never happen again.
If that was
all hell would have broken loose.
Bruh, if that was a black cop doing that to a white woman, they might have had they might have had the noose hanging from the courthouse, ready to go.
Right.
Ready to go. Because we know that what it will never happen. We know the outrage that will come. You know, and black men, I'm telling you, man, y'all falling down because we gotta be men. You know, we gotta be some alpha men. We can't be beta men. We gotta be divine men. We can't be toxic men. You know, because
gotta be some men, some integrity men.
Hey, well, that too. That too. We have to start doing that. We have to start doing it because our community shouldn't look the way it looked. Our women shouldn't feel unprotected. Our kids shouldn't be the way they are. And, you know, then people want to come in and snatch young girls. They ain't snatching young girls in the Hasidic Jewish community. They ain't snatching young girls in the Irish community, the Italian community. They ain't going there doing that. When you hear these young girls being snatched, they're in black communities.
Black and brown, yeah.
They're in black communities. Yo, man, I hope after all this is done, you know, black people, we need a damn reboot. We need to shut down and restart because we need an upgrade.
Well, unfortunately, and we are definitely a break from the norm. Once you do get a few that do speak up, they get jobs or something, like they get bought off in one way or another, like a government job or you know, whatever. And then they disappear. And that's how they silence. They find different ways to silence. That has been tried with us individually and collectively on various levels. And we didn't take the checks. And we withstood the retaliation and the attacks. But we keep speaking. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and a lot of the speaking that we were speaking for was not even for us. We were speaking up for other people. And when the rock started coming back, I know there's sometimes, I know Damon could probably say the same thing. I found myself standing by myself when the rocks was coming. I'm looking for the person who I'm helping them, and they're not even there to defend themselves. I'm just there by myself. But so yeah, we have a lack of. I don't know what happened to the strong black man that takes care of his community and don't tolerate that shit. But we definitely. We're lacking that, and that's why these things can happen in our community. That's why they can do what they want to do. There's no pushback at all, and despite what they do to you, you're gonna vote for them again.
Exactly.
I'm going off air for 1 second.
All right.
Right. Like you know, White Plains mayor, they had a strong challenger. When he had a couple of basketball tournaments and gave out some plaques and stuff, and everybody voted him back in, but still complain about the things that mayor didn't do.
Let me tell you something, and that's how do you see? This is why I say Black lives must matter to black people first.
Absolutely.
Before they matter to anybody else. We can't be talking about Black Lives Matter. And every election year we show that black lives don't even matter to us.
Absolutely.
Because we vote the same person back in that just dissed us the 4 years before. How do we allow cops to call a retired Marine, a retired correction officer, a church-going man, the N-word on audio? Not once, not twice. I think it was 3 times. And there's no proper response from the mayor. And I said this I say it every year.
The mayor or the police commissioner?
Well, Chong gave the response of the report. We get that. I'm talking about the mayor.
Absolutely.
Right? Chong. The public safety commission don't run for election. I'm talking about the mayor. So, and then election time come. All he have to do in White Plains is go on Ferris Avenue, shake a couple of hands at the basketball tournament, and Mayor Roach is all right. He cool. He's cool with us. You know, that's all. That's all he has to do. And then, he's cool with us. Black people just get caught up in symbolism. Like I said, even with Cuomo, yes, he's doing a great job dealing with this pandemic. But those of us that knows Cuomo also know, that he could be something else.
Absolutely.
So, but you got to give him props when props is due. But I'm not going to be out there with my Cuomo drawers on and my pom-poms. No, but that's what he's supposed to do. That's what he's supposed. I mean, he's doing a great job. No, that's what the hell y'all elected him to do.
That's how low the bar is these days, that we giving props for people to doing their job. And we're making like, oh man, he's doing it. But that's what he's supposed to do. And we're giving people these props for doing, because so many people don't do their job. You get props for doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Well, well, why, right? You comparing them to Trump. If you, yeah. I mean,
I said the bar was low.
The bar, you're right. The bar's already low. I mean, the bar ain't high. The bar's not high at all. The bar's not high at all. But welcome back, Dr. Bob.
And let's not like we don't know that he does.
Appreciate it.
Let's not front like we don't know that he has presidential aspirations. So let's.
Well, he said last night, and I really was entertained. I'm always entertained with him and his brother on CNN.
Oh yeah, shout out to his brother, man, because he caught the virus.
Yeah,
it's announced today. Chris Cuomo got it. Yeah, and Governor Cuomo spoke on it at his press conference today too.
Yeah. And last night he called him a meatball. Them two is hilarious. But at the end of the day, big shout out to Governor Cuomo. He's doing what he's supposed to do, and we need to do. My problem with this whole thing is that from the reports that are given and from what I'm hearing, and what is being reported, that the Black community is not getting the proper attention. Not any specific Black community. Everybody wants to get in their feelings when you say Black community, but is not getting the proper attention needed in dealing with this pandemic. So I think
the Black community is not speaking up. I do want to say this, and I wasn't going to mention this because I haven't actually talked to the person yet.